1/1000th of a second was the margin of victory last week for Braden Johnson on the high banks of Daytona. Johnson became our third different winner in the first 3 races of the season. Will we see a fourth one tonight? We're about to find out as we go racing in the Bluegrass State. Welcome to Kentucky Speedway for round 4 of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. We'll be all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Up in the booth is yours truly, Nick Schmeg, and I'm being joined once again by Adam Lindgren. Sean Crackers Ambrose is our director for this evening, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Adam, we're going back to a 1.5-mile track, but the drivers know Kentucky to drive and handle just a tad bit differently. Tell us a little more about this place.
Sure thing, Nick. Kentucky Speedway masquerades as a traditional 1.5 or 2.4 kilometer oval, but its quirks make this track anything but easy to drive in a NASCAR Gander Outdoors Series truck. With banking in 1 and 2 at 17 degrees, in 3 and 4 at 14 degrees, and through the tri-oval between 8 and 10 degrees, the track feels like you took Michigan and squished it down to 3/4 of the size, which creates some interesting oddities. For one, except when you're in a short back straight, it feels like you're in the middle of a turn the whole time. Add to that the bumpy track surface and the high banking, and you have the recipe for hot right side tires. But is it the fronts or the rears that will get hot? That depends on what fixed setup the PRL has brought for our truckers today. Early indications are that it's the rear tires that will go out first, but that remains to be seen once they tackle a longer green flag run, as is customary at this kind of cookie-cutter track. Will we see another close finish or surprise winner here at the PRL NASCAR Truck Series? Let's find out right after we take a ride around Kentucky Speedway in our GSRC lap guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Brian Yazik. This is Kentucky Speedway and I'll be taking you for a spin around it in the GSRC Chevrolet Silverado. Kentucky is a fun little track with a bunch of bumps, a whole lot of little nuances to it as well. So we're going to try to cover a lot of that in our guide. Across the start-finish line up into turn 1, with the lower speeds of the truck you can really start to attack the entrance a little bit more. But what you're going to do on your hot lap is find that white line right there, that dotted white line, float it back out to the wall. Any lower than that and it really de-wedges the truck and gets it very, very loose. A lot of instability. Turn 3, more of a wider entrance than turn 1. You can still find that groove right there again, back into the gas and up out of the corner, kind of about, you don't have to swing it all the way up to the fence, but pretty close to it. As the run progresses and tires wear out, you might see guys start to dabble around up here in this upper groove, and then maybe float it down to the middle and get a better run off. If you're trying to get a run on somebody, this might be the avenue that you see people take. Down the back stretch again, but turn 3 is going to be pretty much the same. Wide entrance, let it float down into the middle, down to the bottom, find that dotted white line, back into the gas all the way, let it float up towards the wall, riding the bumps all the way around the track. There's not a spot here on the speedway that is very, very smooth. I think even pit road is bumpy here at Kentucky, but that will complete your track guide around the Kentucky Speedway. I'm Brian Yazik in the GSRC Chevrolet Silverado.
And that lap guide, as well as this entire broadcast, is being brought to you once again by our awesome season-long sponsor, Established Traffic Control. Founded in 2005, Established Traffic Control is a leader in traffic control and traffic safety in the state of Pennsylvania through maintaining great relationships and providing exceptional customer service. In addition to being able to provide all you need for traffic safety, ETC makes custom signs, from street signs to company logos and everything in between. These custom signs make great gifts and wall decor as well. You have a design, ETC can make it. Shipping is available. For more information, visit establishedtraffic.com or email Brendan Chatley at bchatley@establishedtraffic.com. Adam, we have a track that we haven't been to in quite some time, and some of the viewers might need updates not only on the track, but also on how the series works. So let's take a look at that race details.
Definitely. We have 85 laps around this track, which is race 4 at Kentucky Speedway here of 12. And we got 85 laps around here, which is going to be 127.5 miles. 13 incidents for these drivers tonight, so they got to be a little bit careful about what they do. 85% fuel as usual, and no fast repairs, no extra cars here. So these truckers are going to have to be super careful, especially with how loose the set looks tonight.
Absolutely. They really are going to be struggling. And we've seen in practice already that they are struggling. It is a good points track for a lot of drivers. A lot of times here at these mile-and-a-half tracks, especially coming off Daytona. Right now, the points, we don't have a graphic for you, unfortunately, but Bradley Holly has a 1-point lead over Jason Jacoby in the points. Thomas Sink, who hasn't found victory lane yet this year. Same with Mitchell Clark. They are third and fourth, 15 and 27 points back. 1 point further back in fifth is Braden Johnson, last week's winner. The team's championship as well. Always shaking things up. Whataback, Fat and Furious at the top with Ford Entertainment Motor Group in second, 16 points back. Down the list, we have Hard Knocks, Sim Sports, Whataback, Back Row, and Savage Drive 2 in the top 5, but they are over 50 points back from Whataback, Fat and Furious at the front. So definitely a lot at stake here.
Yeah, very much a lot at stake. And with Bradley Holly and Jason Jacoby getting wrecked on the last lap of the race at Daytona last week, they have some work to do to try and get those points back. Those points gaps behind them are starting to close up, so those two guys really got to get at it, and their teammates have got to help them out for sure.
Oh, absolutely. This is not the race going on now, although it kind of looks like it. Teams and drivers just deciding to practice together in a little bit of a race setting. Gives the drivers a good idea as to how their setups work. And right now, the fastest time in practice, Adam, you actually made mention of this before we started the broadcast. William Hartman is fastest right now. We haven't really seen him much at all this year. He was a championship contender last season. Actually, I believe he finished second in the points. He hasn't finished better than 30th this year.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for him with consistency and staying out of accidents. We've had a lot of wrecks with these bigger fields this year, and William Hartman's been having trouble his luck just hasn't been there. He's just been having trouble dodging the wrecks, and so with missing the second race of the season and only having a best finish of 30th, he's really struggling to get back up there. But with a good time right now at the top of the field, as you see an accident happening on the background. He's got some good chances. He's still got the pace, and we know that. So he's got chances to climb back up. It's not too late yet.
And I'm not sure this is representative of his speed this weekend, but Jason Jacoby sits down in 25th. He's the only one of your front runners in the points that is seriously not where you would expect them to be. He's not in the server right now, but did set a time earlier and wasn't really able to get a good clean lap in, so we'll have to take a look at see if he's able to come later. A lot of cleaning up there on the backstretch, I think, might be done before they get that single truck qualifying rolled out.
Yeah, and just the way that PRL runs these leagues is really awesome, and how they set up these practice sessions before the races. They run some simulated restarts so that everyone can get comfortable with how each other is driving with the truck and the setup. And so it just gives the drivers a really, a good amount of time to adjust to the track conditions and how everything's going to play out in that session with those drivers for the race.
Hopefully the drivers are getting all of the attrition taken care of here in the practice session, which is just wrapped up. Qualifying about to begin. You do get a bonus point in the standings for qualifying on the pole. Actually, 2 points bonus. Pardon me.
Colin Carroll looks like he's going to be one of the first people out on the track. He's in that number 12 truck tonight. Just starting to get up to speed. Yeah, qualifying around here is going to be extremely difficult with the setup they have. They're extremely loose. Drivers complain they feel like the setup is really on ice, so they're really going to have to fight the rear end of this truck to keep it in line as they go around for these qualifying laps tonight.
We've only had 2 different pole sitters so far this season out of the 3 races. Thomas Sink got it at the season opener at Gateway. Jason snagged the pole at Chicago and Daytona. Chicago, the only other mile-and-a-half track we've been to, and actually only 12 drivers decided to set a qualifying lap at Daytona.
And Jacoby is still not back yet, so he'll be interesting. I don't know if he'll be able to get back in time to set a lap time. He's only got another 4.5 minutes before, well, 3.5 minutes before the race starts. So if he's planning on racing tonight, he better get in here and set a time. Otherwise, he's going to be starting at the back. And with the way the fields have packed up and the wrecks that have happened early on in recent races, that's not where you want to be.
Definitely not, but we've seen it done before many times, I feel like, in this series. We've seen a lot of big names like that come from the back. And if we get a lot of cautions as well, even if we don't, I think this setup really allows an opportunity for drivers to fight their way through the field.
Colton Lane taking purple this time by, and he's got a really good lap down, a 31.432, or actually, realistically, tied between the two times between Colton Lane and Robert Bassett Jr. They're separated by probably somewhere around a 10,000th of a second there, so Colton Lane really eking it out right now, but with these, the first lap is really going to be where you make your time. Rob Haynes puts in a good time now, a 31.336.
More times continue to roll in. Over 21 cars now, 23 cars have set times. Yeah, big field. Always fun to see a packed house on the track. Riding on board with Houndshell here. Looks like just wrapping up his qualifying efforts.
Austin Hunter looks like he's out for one of his first laps, I believe. As they go through 3 and 4 here, you're going to see this truck just start to rotate a little bit in the middle of 3 and 4. It gets extremely loose through the center, and then that just continues loose off. So these truckers really having to fight the truck tonight. So it's as much of a fight with the truck as it is with everyone else on track tonight. So hopefully we don't see too many spins, but I would expect people to struggle a little bit.
Taking a look at Charles Sumner, another driver we've seen this season and last season as well quite a bit. Looks like we have 4 Mid-South drivers in the field tonight. William Lee, Mitchell Clark, Colton Lane, and Sean Dower. I always like seeing who the home regions are. Take a look at Brendan Chatley here.
He's very loose
right
off
now.
He got very loose off of 2, so looks like the first lap's definitely your best lap around here with the 2-lap qualifying the way we have it right now.
Racing under the lights as well tonight. That cools the track down a little bit. It's actually showing overcast conditions right now. You wouldn't really be able to tell with how dark it is. But qualifying wrapping up here. Not thinking anyone's going to be able to get out on the track for another lap. Rob Haynes looks to have the pole. 31 drivers actually set a time, and another big handful of them didn't. So we've got a big field. Let's roll the grid. Starting on that front row, like I said, Rob Haynes in the 29 truck. He's going to be joined along Braden Johnson, last week's winner. Another former winner in this series this year, Bradley Holly, is going to be starting 3rd right behind him, with Brendan Chatley in 4th. Charles Sumner is going to be rounding out the top 5. He's going to be flanked alongside by Colton Lane. Robert Bassett Jr. and Thomas Sink will comprise row number 4, and row 5 will go to Colin Carroll and Brandon Walter.
Starting in the 11th position is Jake Houndshell, a good qualifying for him. Adam Zemke, his best qualifying, I believe, to date in the 12th position, is going to be followed by Andrew Melvin and Frank Pichak down there in the row 7. Then we have Eric Roberts in row 8 alongside Jason Houndshell, Jake's family relation. Then we have Nicholas Delp in 17th, Kevin Fetty in 18th, Nicholas Hunter in 19th, and Joshua Daniels in 20th.
That solid red truck, Dominic Begine, the 66, going to be rolling off P21. 22nd going to go to Robert Malikian alongside Mike Donahue, and Jean-Francois Champagne will make up row number 12. Row 13 goes to Ronald McManus and Ray Richard. Jeff Smith and Gregory Dice will make up row number 14. 29th and 30th go to Mike Richter and Austin Hunter.
We have William Lee in 31st position. We have Jason Jacoby in 32nd position. He has yet to reconnect to this server, so that's a big concern for his championship run. Caleb Eisenhower in 33rd, Tyler Bluff 34th, William Hartman down in 35th position after setting the fastest time in practice, not setting a qualifying time in qualifying. Sean Dower in 36th position, John LeBaff in 37th position, Mitchell Clark coming home 38th, well, starting 38th rather, Sean Hamilton in 39th, and Robert McFarland in 40th position.
We had such a big grid that these drivers already beginning to roll. It is Rob Haynes getting his first pole of the year. The Canadian there on the front row, starting alongside Braden Johnson, last week's Daytona winner. Not sure we're going to have anyone win by 1/1000th of a second tonight, but I think Johnson would still love to get there. Bradley Holly, he's been pretty dominant as far as speed goes, and he hasn't found the front row this year to start yet, but he has gotten there pretty quickly after the green flag drops. We'll have to see what unfolds here. The pace car makes its way through turns 3 and 4. Rob Haynes in control on the bottom. That number 29 car. Pace car going to make that hard left turn. The curved front stretch here at Kentucky Speedway. Round 4 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series is underway. The green flag in the air. They get up to speed. A little bit of a push there from Bradley Holly on the bottom.
Oh, there's a wreck at the back already. The 44 truck has spun around on cold tires.
That's Ray Richer. Pretty hefty damage as well. The caution out quickly. Didn't even get to the line. And it looks like there might have been a checkup in front of him. It looks to be, you know what? It looks like Robert Malikian may have actually spun tires or gotten out of the way, and a little bit of a checkup from Francois Champagne.
And he collects Mike Richter and Austin Hunter as well. There's a little bit of a checkup, and that throws the weight onto those front tires, and then trying to slam on the binders just upset the rear of that car. Got those rear tires spinning, and that sent him around on this cold track.
That was quite literally an upside-down start for some drivers back there further in the field. Rob Haynes able to keep the lead with a couple of drivers that were involved in that wreck heading to the pits early as they catch up with the pace car. 85 laps scheduled for this race. We are under that 55-minute time limit as well. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That's come into play quite a few times this year.
It almost came into play last week, but we were able to get the full time in. But yeah, we got the drivers who are involved in the wreck in the pits right now. Quite a few of them actually, as Mike Richter also goes by and takes a pit stop. So a surprising amount of drivers going in for pit stops early. They might be just topping up with fuel, seeing whether they can go, if this does have a lot of cautions, whether they can go all the way.
Absolutely. We saw a couple of drivers do that earlier in the year. Well, still pretty early in the year.
Regular pit stops for Dominic Begine and Jean-Francois Champagne. They are two guys who are known to do strategy risks, and for both of them it's paid off with good finishes, so they're the guys to watch for this kind of action.
I'm not so sure. I don't even think the leaders were able to get to turn 1 before they had to slow it back down again. I don't think they got up through the gears yet. Hopefully they make it a little further this next time by. We'll have to see. They're already going double file. That just shows you how anxious they are to get going here.
We'll see whether the pace lights go off this time.
They do.
So it'll be interesting to see whether Dominic Begine and Jean-Francois Champagne can climb their way through the field. Those two drivers are known to be fast, and Jean-Francois really known for climbing his way through the field early in races. We'll see if this restarts clean, how quickly they can get up to the front.
A little bit different front row. Bradley Holly able to jump Johnson just a little bit for second. That puts him up there. But other than that, most everyone keeps their position or somewhat close to their original position. A little bit further back, looks like outside the top 10, some drivers swapped. Rob Haynes is going to try this one again, along with the rest of the 37 trucks right now out on track running. The iRacing pace car hoping to put it in park this time. The drivers, hopefully they can keep it in drive. Green flag back out in the air. Holly able to get back down on that bottom side before they cross the start-finish line. He's going to slide back up high, trying to apex this turn as much as possible, trying to get a run on Rob Haynes for the lead. Behind them, Johnson coming in line. Chatley goes a little low, and Thomas Sink slides in fifth.
These leaders really duking it out here. Braden Johnson has a good run on Holly, but he's going to decide to stay in line as they go into turn 3 and 4 for the first time tonight. Seeing whether or not this truck gets loose or tight. Looks like it's a little neutral for Rob Haynes there as Chatley's blinking a little bit. But Bradley Holly not getting a good run off of 3 and 4. Johnson's got a good run though, looking into the 1 and 2.
For 7th place, they're 3 wide going into turn 1. That gets sorted out a little further back. That was Jake Hounshell jumping 2 spots on that lap. That's Colin Carroll and Robert Basal Jr. He was able to get around. Brandon Walter has caught them now. Still side by side is Basal Jr. and Colin Carroll, who's on the bottom.
And they're duking it out hard right now. This is the best their tires are going to feel all night. So these 2 guys know that this is their time to make positions. So they got to do it now.
Bradley Holly continuing to chase down Rob Haynes for the lead. He's not able to really get too far on him. Braden Johnson continues to ride in 3rd. Not really seeing any gaps open up between these 3 or 4 with Chatley there in 4th, but also not really able to see them pull away quite yet.
Yeah, Bradley Holly really stringing that truck out. He's starting to realize that loose off of 4 situation starting to happen for him. So they're right on the edge of grip. It may look calm and controlled from up here in the booth, but when you take a ride on board, you can see just how squirmy Bradley Holly's truck is ahead of Braden Johnson, who we're on board with right now.
Oh, absolutely. These trucks are a handful. Kentucky pretty bumpy as well. Doesn't help with the handling of these trucks tonight under the lights. They ride in line for now. Is this, you think, Adam, or do you think they are really giving it their all right now?
Take a look at Andrew Melvin and Brandon Walter. No, I think they're giving it their all. The guys at front know that battling right now is not going to help them with their lap times or their tire wear. So taking it easy might be a good idea. But it looks like Bradley Holly might try and do something here out of 4. He got a really good run.
Caution is out. Not seeing who this one is.
John LaBaff.
John LaBaff,
The 911 truck.
This looks like it was in turns 1 and 2. He was right behind Jean-Francois Champagne, and he had Sean Dower behind him. See if we can get a replay for you. Didn't quite see. The 911 of John LaBaff was the one we saw in the wall. We'll jump back a little. There he is sliding on the backstretch. So I would guess snappy loose out of turn 2.
Yeah, it looks like he's uncontested, and he's putting down the power to try and get back up to speed. And wow, yeah, he just was loose through the middle of the corner, and that took it all the way down to the apron. He clipped the apron, and that just kind of shot him back up. And instead of turning up into the field, he decides to turn left and spit it instead. So a good save from John LaBaff, all things considered.
Looks like he heated it up. Some more drivers looking to do the opposite, cool down their tires and also get them changed. Are the drivers in the pits? Everyone getting in cleanly. Braden Johnson actually slid the stall a little bit. All the front runners are in, just about everyone in.
Everyone except for Jean-Francois Champagne, who decided to stay out since he had pitted during that last caution, and so he inherits the lead.
Looks like Rob Haynes wins the race off pit road. Thomas Sink appears to have jumped a couple of spots up to second, or I guess that'd be third, with Champagne out there leading. Holly behind, and Johnson, I mentioned, slid the stall, lost a couple spots. Chatley behind them. Then you have Lane and Moore behind them.
Jake Houndshell's the big gainer, though, with up 4 positions from the time when he entered pit road, so he's made up a significant amount of progress on pit road, so that's going to make him a good start in 8th position for this next restart.
Looks like we're down to 33 trucks on the lead lap, and just a little bit of an update on the did not starts. There were 4 of them. That did include, most notably, Jason Jacoby and William Hartman, who was fastest in practice. It's a shame to see they were not able to join us tonight.
That's going to shake up the championship standings quite a bit and allow Bradley Holly to really take off. And we all know how dangerous that is. Bradley Holly's quite a quick driver, so if he can get a good finish tonight and not DNF, he's going to have a good points haul at the end of this.
I think a lot of drivers look at a track like Kentucky on this schedule as an opportunity to get points. Tracks like last week, Daytona, sometimes not the best place to bet on coming away with a purse full of points. Same with a track like we go to next week, Watkins Glen on the Cup circuit. Trucks don't go there in real life, but they sure do put on a show here in the virtual world.
It'll be interesting to see which of these drivers are good at the road course. It's really fascinating to see who can make that difference.
We'll see if we have any ringers out there, and looks like a little bit of a mix-up at the front here. Jean-Francois Champagne is headed down pit road.
Interesting. That makes me think he really is thinking about fuel numbers and trying to make it to the end. He's going to decide when that's going to be and when that opportunity comes to him. So it'll be very interesting to see whether or not he can pull off some kind of strategy upset tonight.
I think he's thinking about numbers in a couple of senses as well. Thinking about not only fuel numbers, but he just added a bonus point to him coming away tonight for leading a lap. Solid strategy.
Counts.
Just gonna, absolutely. He's gonna start at the back here, but with an extra point. If he feels confident enough to be able to fight his way back up to where he was, or even better, I'll take it.
Yeah, every point counts, especially when you're fighting such a strong competitor as Bradley Holly, who is consistently at the front. So different strategies are sometimes necessary if you don't think you can get there on raw pace. And with the track position that he was afforded at the end of qualifying, not having made a good time, this is his best option.
He sits 9th in the points, 39 back from the leader, definitely still in the mix for this title this year. The pace car about to pull off. It's going to be lap 14. We'll restart on out of 85. Rob Haynes and now Braden Johnson up front with him once again. Going to lead him to green. Haynes going pretty early.
I have to say, Jean-Francois Champagne coming back into the pits while the field goes green. Very interesting thing to think about indeed, but wow, quite a battle for second going on right there.
That is Thomas Sink on the bottom, Braden Johnson on the outside, and right behind him is Brad Holly. He's wanting to mix things up and get around them both. He's going to look to the bottom, almost give a little nudge to the waterback bumper of that number 48 machine of Thomas Sink. He's going to slide back into third, wash up a little bit.
Bradley Holly underneath now, Thomas Sink, trying to get a good run into 1 and 2. He might try the slide job here, but that's a dangerous proposition on these tires. But he really does pack it in. We'll see whether or not he can hang on to it as they exit 1 and 2.
Holly's able to get around him, and not only Holly, but it looks like Brendan Chatley now coming down on the low side. He slides in line for now. He's going to dive it in deep once again here in turn 3. Don't look now, but Colton Lane right behind him as well.
In the background, Jake Hounshell trying to get around Colin Carroll wasn't able to do it that time, but he'll give it another try through 1 and 2. Well, Colton Lane, Catley now as they go into 1 and 2, but everyone has to stay in line when they enter the corner because of how loose these trucks are.
And for the lead, Braden Johnson has caught Rob Haynes. He's right on his bumper. He's not looking to get around him yet, but he's setting up a little bit of a run here in 3 and 4. We'll see what he has on the front stretch.
Braden's willing to put a lot more wheel into the truck than Rob Haynes is through the corner, and so that's allowed Braden Johnson to get some pretty good runs off the corner, but Rob Haynes holding it steady there on that top side, running the middle groove right now as they run up on the lap truck of Austin Hunter, who wisely decides to go below the yellow line, but it did upset Braden Johnson's exit.
Brad Holly is there as well, riding in line, the popcorn position there in third.
Oh, Robert McFarland is around in the 1 truck, and he collects a couple of others, Ronald McManus and Dominic Bagine.
Ooh, this is not pretty. Caution is out once again, the 3rd time this evening. On lap number 17, like you said, Robert McFarland in the 1. We'll take a look at this replay, see how it unfolded. I saw Richer and Brian Brogan involved in this as well, it looks like.
Another example of the trucks getting loose on exit. He just gets loose coming off of 2, and then he tries to save it, and it just does not work out, and then he collects a couple of other trucks as well.
Not sure who that was that came up to him. I know Brogan was involved in the 45. May have been him that he clipped.
Yeah, these trucks are really...
Looks like it might have been Brogan in the 45 that he T-boned. Yeah, they are definitely struggling for grip. It just shows you, I mean, it's hard to save one of these big, heavy NASCAR trucks anyway, but I mean, just absolutely no grip. He got it on the bottom. He wasn't even able to, keep it down there and lock it up. These trucks, a lot of the drivers out there just saying they are on ice tonight.
And Brogan, nowhere to go, tried to avoid the accident, but wasn't able to do so. He's got significant right front damage, so that's going to be unfortunate for him.
We come back live to see some drivers in the pits. Heck of a race off pit road. Haynes just barely going to edge out Braden Johnson, with Bradley Holly right behind. Thomas Sink, who was losing a couple of positions on that restart prior to this, he's back up to 4th. Comes out right in front of Chatley.
The big loser for all that is Colton Lane, who comes out in 9th position when he was running 5th, I believe, going in.
Oof, yeah. Passing definitely possible here tonight. I'm noticing a couple of drivers taking a little bit of a New Hampshire groove. Not going all the way down to the apron, but kind of staying a lane up. I think that has to do with the handling of the trucks. And as flat as Kentucky is, it's safe to say when you see the high line coming into play, these drivers really struggling in terms of handling.
Yeah, with 17 degrees of banking through 1 and 2, you can play with that middle line. But these trucks with as loose as down there on the yellow line means that it's going to encourage the truck to rotate more, and that's the last thing you want when you have a loose setup. You want to be up there running the Austin Dillon line at that top line. But as we know in iRacing, that's difficult to do. So this middle line where you're seeing a lot of the tire wear starting to show up, that's going to be the preferred line going into this, but that also opens up a lot of good passing opportunities.
Couple more retirees from this race. I know Donahue and McManus have already checked out of this race. Looks like we're down to 29 trucks on the lead lap. 30 actually. It looks like Brian Brogan's going to be able to stay on the lead lap here. And it looks like everyone behind him is at least in the garage. Not sure if they're all retired, but for the most part, 30 trucks remain on track.
Brogan will likely be down on pace. His toe is a little bit out, so he's not going to be contending to try and climb up the field anymore. But yeah, it's with how difficult this set is, people are just going to have to settle in and realize they can't be aggressive as they're used to right now with with how the track condition and the set is working out. So they're going to have to settle in and really think more about pit strategy and fuel strategy to gain them positions rather than track action.
Pace lights are out. We'll be restarting on lap number 22. 64 laps scheduled remaining.
Nick, I didn't happen to catch it, but did you notice how Charles Sumner got to be a lap down? It doesn't appear that he has any damage.
I did not. He's back in, looks like 33rd.
He's 3 laps down, actually.
I wonder if he was one of those drivers that started late.
It's entirely possible.
And he may have chosen to start from the pits. Speaking of the pits, that's where the iRacing pace car is about to be headed. Rob Haynes going to be starting on the front row once again by Braden Johnson. We'll see what kind of run he can get on the outside. We'll see what kind of start Haynes can get. Coming to the green flag. It is out. They're off and away once again here in Kentucky. Johnson on the outside, falling back a little. He's got Holly to his inside.
And quite a gaggle behind him down in the 10th or 12th positions. Quite a few drivers are struggling right there to try and get through 1 and 2 cleanly as they go through.
Head down to turn number 3. A little bit of a wiggle there from Rob Haynes on the backstretch. I wonder if he was trying to break the draft or if he had some handling issues. Holly gonna get second place, it looks like. We're gonna ride on board with Haynes, taking a look back at the field. Still side by side for second between Holly and Johnson.
Bradley Holly and Braden Johnson door to door as they go through 1 and 2. Wow, Holly really washing out, pushing Braden Johnson up to the top of the track. Holly wisely getting out of it. That's just a good sportsmanship move there. Thomas Sink now challenging him from behind.
Oh, a spin behind. It's Jake Hounshell. He's able to save it, but he's going to come down and clip someone else. We stay green. Everyone able to keep it straight, but a scary moment for them. Hounshell was running 7th. Let's take a look at this as more drivers continue to pass him on both sides.
And Jake Hounshell really struggled with... Oh, he got clipped, actually. I believe he got clipped by Brendan Chatley there. That caused that accident.
Back live, he has fallen back. Looks like outside the top 20. Continues to fall back. Gonna have to get that truck gathered up in these harsh conditions.
Speaking of falling back, Brendan Chatley, ever since that contact, has fallen back a little bit. He's gotten passed by Colton Lane and is now under challenge by Frank Peacock as well, down there in that 7th position. But he's actually looking like he might set up a mount of challenge to Colton Lane, exiting 3 and 4, but Colton gets a better run.
Lane able to keep that spot. Might be a change for position right ahead of him for 4th place. That is Colin Carroll on the bottom now of Thomas Sink. Sink seems to be a driver really good in the pits tonight, not so good on these restarts. He might be a better long-run driver.
Thomas Sink has always shown his pace on the longer runs. He's super aggressive early on, but that often leads to him actually going backwards because he can't keep the tires from spinning a little bit. But on the longer runs, he gets really good consistency going and is able to build good runs. But Colin Carroll, holding it out on that bottom side, is able to make the pass.
Frank Peacock back, trying to get around Brandon Walter, looks like. Or it looks like Jason Hounshell, sorry, getting around Frank Peacock there for 8th.
And Bradley Holly just made an amazing move on Braden Johnson, was able to get to the outside of him, exiting 1 and 2 and get by him on the backstretch. Bradley Holly now up to P2 and mounting a charge towards Rob Haynes. He's found this set to his liking, and it looks like he's going to charge up there and try and challenge Rob now.
Johnson a little bit closer to the back of Holly than Holly is to the back of Haynes. We've seen these three run in line pretty much all night for the green flag laps. They have been quite stout above everyone else.
Back behind them in 6th, 7th, and 8th, we have Colton Lane, Brendan Chatley, and Jason Houndshell. Colton Lane kind of the start of this breakaway pack, and he's really trying to hold off Brendan Chatley right there, but Chatley mounting a good charge, but he's not able to get close enough to make a challenge through these corners. That's really where you're going to have to do it. Colton Lane choosing a lower line.
Ooh, Holly has really reeled in your leader, Rob Haynes. We ride on board. See if he can do. Just look at how much he's moving the wheel. Just those slight movements to try to keep it in line. That is a workout after even just 30 laps of racing so far.
That's exactly what you have to do. Try and move the wheel just a little bit to keep that truck underneath you, as these trucks are tight and loose, and they're just all over the place tonight. This is 11 laps on these tires, so these drivers starting to realize what a long run is going to look like on tire wear.
Haynes continues to be able to hold him off. They run that middle groove. Holly a little bit lower than the other two of them. Rob Haynes and Braden Johnson right behind him. Look at this hornet's nest back here. It's Robert Malikian on the outside.
I believe Mitchell Clark has gone around. No, it's Jeffrey Smith in the 96 has gone around by himself.
He was running up in 15th, and the motor has gone on that machine. This was coming out of turn 2, and it is interesting. It doesn't look like he lost it like we've seen drivers lose it tonight. He's actually, it looks like he tagged the wall coming out of turn 2, and that's what sent him spinning.
It's a new problem for our drivers tonight. If this set gets tight in the long runs, then how are you supposed to drive it if it gets loose on the exit?
Thankfully, it doesn't look like it collected anyone else. Just a one-man incident there.
All right, time to get tires for everybody. 12 laps, definitely enough for these drivers as they start to deal with tight conditions on top of their loose ones. Rob Haynes leads them in.
We've definitely seen track position change a couple times already with a few pit stops. Colin Carroll, the first front runner to head to his box. The three leaders, they all get to their box. Looks like safe and sound. They stay there for 4 fresh tires. A big launch for Bradley Holly. Not so much for Rob Haynes at all.
A close battle between Rob, Colton, and Thomas Sink, and they all got out very shortly after one another. But Rob Haynes, a slow stop from his pit crew, a 15.8. That's over a second slower than Bradley Holly.
How about Colin Carroll moving up? We will be back for the action, but we're going to actually take a little break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel under caution. We'll be back to bring you all the green flag coverage here on the GSRC. This is Sparta, a small town in Kentucky. It is the home of round 4 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. And we are about to get set to go green once again. Lap number 36 of 85. We don't think we can get the whole distance on laps. We've got just under 25 minutes left on the PRL clock. Pace car about to pull off. Bradley Holly, your new leader. Braden Johnson alongside him. We've seen a lot of speed out of Rob Haynes, but he's back and forth with Colin Carroll, a new cast member to this play up front. Pace car pulls off. Bradley Holly on the loud pedal. He gets after it. And right behind him, Braden Johnson going to be able to slide down a little bit. He chooses to stay high as they head into 1 and 2. Really big stack up on the outside lane, though, with Rob Haynes and Thomas Sink.
Everyone in the back got off cleanly as well, but there's a gaggle up front. It's almost 3 wide as they go down this back stretch. Colton Lane trying to find somewhere to go in the bottom lane, but unable to do so. Jason Hounshell behind him in the 00, ducking down below Brendan Chatley, trying to get by through 3 and 4. But it's Bradley Holly with an extensive lead off of the first lap.
A little bit of a wiggle out of Colin Carroll there on the bottom. He's going to fall back a couple spots. It looks like Thomas Sink going to overtake on the outside. Haynes still in 3rd. Johnson, though, not letting Holly get away just yet. He's going to slide up the track quite a bit there in turn number 2. They start to go single file further back. Colton Lane still the one making it side by side, though. He's trying to get around Carroll there for 5th.
Right behind him, Brandon Walter goes underneath Jason Hounshell, who got loose entering 3 and 4. These battles back behind are just due to placement on track. These guys are really struggling with where they're hanging out right now, and so here they go into 1 and 2, still side by side.
On board with Brendan Chatley. He's getting a good look at this battle. He rides back in 7th right now in the 59 machine. Actually gets a really big run there on Colton Lane through turns 3 and 4. Now onto the front stretch. They all swoop down to that inside and back up the hill.
Where do you go to pass around here? If you go low, you risk going around, but if you go high, you risk pushing wide into the exit of the corner, as Colton Lane almost did on the exit there. So it's really hard to pass around here. You have to be set up going into the corner so that you can take the line that you want going into the turns there.
In front of all this action, Bradley Holly still leading, but for how long? He has really got a handful right now. Braden Johnson is right behind him. He's not only not let Holly get away, but he is right there with him, looking to pass him here soon.
Yeah, hopefully he can find a spot to do it. He can't. This is not a track where you want to use the chrome horn or try and hit anybody. It's just going to send him around, so that's not what you want to do as a good sport. But Braden Johnson getting a decent run there, taking a little bit of a higher exit than Bradley Holly. We'll see what he does with here into 1 and 2.
Still single file. They come up onto the backstretch. Johnson trying to also not only get that run, but also use the draft off the back of Bradley Holly to his advantage. He hasn't been able to see this track very curvy in terms of where the turns are and where the turn in and turn exit is. Makes it that much harder to get that slipstream.
Taking a look now at Frank Peacock, who's got a gaggle of cars behind him, including Tyler Pluff and Joshua Daniels and Kyle Fetty. All these guys really battling it out back there for the top 10 positions. And these drivers have not stopped idling since the drop of the green flag for this run.
Kevin Fetty on the inside of Adam Zemke for 14th. John LaBaff, who was involved in an incident earlier, he's putting that behind him. He's up to 16th, holding off Dominic Bagine. But still side by side is Kevin Fetty in the 94 on the inside of Adam Zemke, the number 21.
boy, and actually behind them, Robert Saw Jr., Nicholas Hunter, Sean Dower, Robert Malikian. Sean Dower getting extremely loose on the exit of 1 and 2. All these drivers who are side by side in these battles really struggling with the grip right now, as Sean Dower getting blocked by Nicholas Hunter down the front straight.
Still a kind of awkward positioning between those trucks. Looking for some awkward entrances into the turn. Dower stuck on the outside. Malikian trying to get a run on the bottom. He's finally able to clear him, slide up behind him. Right on board with Nicholas Hunter. And the 109 right in front of these guys. Oh, a little wiggle, almost some contact. They kept it clean. Malikian's going to get by on that blue and white truck. On the bottom is Charles Sumner.
Oh, and Adam Zemke and John LeBaff just doored each other going into 1 and 2. It looks like Dominic Regine's spinning out as well.
He's able to save it for now. He comes back up into some 2 wide action, made it 3 wide for a moment. He's about to be overtaken here by Nicholas Hunter. That gets done cleanly. They still race in front of him. Almost some contact between Adam Zemke and Mitchell Clark now.
Drivers really battling hard for these positions down there. The first good battles we've seen all night, but actually at the front, Braden Johnson's got a run on Bradley Holly and might try to make a move here.
It's a hornet's nest behind him back inside the top 20, but these 2 leaders are only focused on one thing. That's getting out in front. For Johnson, it's trying to get out in front. For Holly, it's trying to stay out there.
Yeah, Bradley Holly doing a good job of keeping his lead, but Braden Johnson trying to decide whether or not he actually wants to get by Bradley Holly or whether he wants to just hang out and just, chill with the pack.
A little bit of a battle. Couple spots back between Houndshell and Lane. That's Jason Houndshell and the 00 on the outside of Colton Lane. They go by a lap truck to make me wide for a second. They still are side by side though through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, Jason Houndshell's been hounding Colton Lane ever since the last restart, and he's been trying to get by. They were battling before the last yellow flag as well, and so this battle has been going on for quite some laps now.
Like Colton Lane is going to be able to clear him here. Houndshell tucks in right behind him. Mike could try to cross him over. Actually, he will. He heads down into turn 1 on the bottom this time. Yeah, he is able to hold it down there. It didn't wash up nearly as much as we've seen some other drivers tonight.
And the leaders are side by side, exiting 3 and 4.
Oh, they are. Johnson puts a run on him. He gets it down low. Side by side for close to a mile at this point. Still side by side through 1 and 2. Give the advantage just slightly to Braden Johnson. He's going to try to clear him. He does. He slides right up in front of him, but all the momentum shifts back to Bradley Holly. He's going to try to send it down low. He decides to stay in line.
Bradley Holly, not one known for his patience, but he does pick the right moments, and Braden Johnson's slip up out of 3 and 4 is the right moment. He dives down to the inside as they cross the stripe.
Trying to see how much aerodynamics come into play there. Braden Johnson, little left rear quarter panel action. He's going to be on the outside, though, trying to make a charge. He's got to keep it off the wall. Great job by Johnson to keep that momentum up. Heading back down to turn 3 again. Holly pretty dedicated to that middle line. That's going to force Johnson up the hill.
They're both extremely loose as they exit 3 and 4. This is a great battle with this set right now. These two guys really fighting the truck for all they're worth, also fighting each other as they go into 1 and 2.
All this battling has allowed Rob Haynes to join the action once again. He's actually getting a little loose behind him, so that's not going to help his chances.
Taking a look on board of Rob Haynes, taking a look at this battle. He's just hoping that one of these guys spins out, and Bradley Holly, man, just barely hanging on to it on the bottom side. He loses a ton of grip out of 1 and 2. That allows Braden Johnson to drop down in front of him.
Yeah, that's got to be burning off his tires so much to stay down on that bottom groove, saw at the wheel as much as he's got to. Braden Johnson now able to come down into that middle groove and clear him for the lead. It's the number 36. Last week's winner at Daytona. Looking for 2 in a row here tonight.
Making an amazing challenge there on Bradley Holly. We're going to drop down to P7 and take a look at Colton Lane, who's still being hounded by Jason Hounshell. And that's Eric Roberts, who's joined the battle now, as they all catch up to the back of Brendan Chatley.
All these 4 trucks, single file for now. Might not be single file for long. Jason Hounshell, you can really start to see the tires go away.
This is the longest green flag run that they've had, 21 laps now. These guys are really struggling on their tires, and it's going to be up to who can soft foot it around here. Soft shoot, be really careful as they go. Wow, Colton Lane getting extremely loose off the 3 and 4.
He's going to lose some positions because of that. Jason Hounshell able to get around him. Eric Roberts looks to take to the outside. And he might get boxed in there just a little bit. All this hard racing happening, less than 14 minutes on the PRL clock.
These drivers are really struggling with their tires now. I think I'm not sure if everyone can make it to the end of the time on fuel, but it's going to be close, I believe, for these drivers on fuel. So it might actually benefit some of them to back it off a little bit and really take it easy with the tires, take it easy with, trying to not spin the rears. So as we're looking on board with Colton Lane, oh my goodness, that was really tight. He manages to just barely save it. Holy moly.
These drivers quite literally driving the wheels off these beasts right now. Eric Roberts able to thread the needle just a little bit. Lane almost getting in the wall behind him. Roberts going to go to the bottom side of Jason Hounshell. Side by side with these skimpy of tires. You can see them just try to float through there. It really is as if they're on ice.
The weight compared to the grip of these trucks is something else. And it looks like these guys are going to keep battling as they go through 3 and 4. And this is just continuing to add intensity, but also add heat to those tires, which makes them grip even less.
Looks like Roberts had to back off there a little bit. I'm surprised all this battling happening right behind Brendan Chatley. Chatley not able to pull away nearly as much as I would have anticipated. He stays right there in front of him in P6.
And Bradley Holly is right back on the back of Braden Johnson now for P1. They are just nose to tail, almost as close as you get at Daytona right now. And Bradley Holly's got a decent run here. He might, oh my goodness, he almost bumped into the 1 and 2. Bradley Holly really tucked up behind Braden Johnson right now.
I thought he might be falling off. Well, Bradley Holly is going to say no to that theory. He's right back there with him. Looking for this win. Both these drivers looking for their second win this season. Holly getting it done early at Gateway. Into the wall goes Johnson, trying to save it. We stay green. He's trying to keep second place as well, but there goes Rob Haynes around him. Let's take a look at this.
This is just struggling. He starts to get loose out of the corner, tries to correct, but then realizes he's going to hit the wall. So he corrects again to the left, and that just makes him get even looser. And then his final correction to the right just makes him get into the wall that much more.
The driver of the number 36 or 77, as the custom paint scheme shows, he has fallen back to 3rd place.
Yeah, right front suspension damage there, so that's going to really knock off his pace. But with how loose this set is, he's not falling that far back, believe it or not. So, surprisingly, with that much damage on the truck, he's still able to keep going, and he actually gained a couple tenths on Rob Haynes there on the backstretch.
Yeah, if you're going to have damage like that, now's the time to have it when everyone has to float the throttle. back in 12th. A little bit of some drama here. Brandon Walter trying to hold off Kevin Fetty and John LaBaff. Man, LaBaff still getting after it and gaining positions after his earlier spin.
Yeah, LaBaff doing a great job trying to claw his way back through the field. Really impressive considering everything that's gone on. But actually, yeah, it's completely insane, these battles that are going on back farther in the field. These guys are really putting it all on the line for these positions.
Absolutely, they're willing to do it. We've got battles all over the track right now. Or at least close racing. It's hard to keep an eye on everything. John LaBaff getting a little squirrely there, you can see.
I think John will have Kevin Fetty soon if he keeps up this pace. He's managed to keep it. Oh, wow. Kevin Fetty going for the pits now.
He is. I'm wondering if this is a fuel call. I think it's got to be. Tire is certainly in no good condition, but to make it another 8 minutes and 50 seconds, I think they might need another stop like you mentioned.
Thomas Sink has actually gotten by Braden Johnson, the damaged Braden Johnson there. It'll be interesting to see which of these front runners decide to pit soon. But Braden Johnson, knowing better than to challenge Thomas Sink back with the damage that he has. Thomas Sink able to keep going, but up ahead, Rob Haynes has still managed to maintain that gap of about half a second to Bradley Hawley, and that's pretty impressive considering we know how good Hawley is on these mile-and-a-half tracks.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, I would even say, at least visually, it looks like Haynes is closing in just a tad bit. You can see there on the time as well. Down to 3/10 with that big run he got. Haynes, he would love to get his first win of the season. He is going after it.
Possible Bradley Hawley has burnt off his tires from that battle with Brandon Johnson earlier on. Rob Haynes not having the same problem. He was pretty much solo in third during that entire time and able to run his own pace. So Rob Haynes just running his own race right now and reeling in Bradley Hawley bit by bit, lap by lap.
Everyone remembers Braden Johnson's 1/1000th of a second win last week at Daytona. What some people won't remember is who finished second. That was Rob Haynes. He would hate to finish this close to winning it just once again.
Rob getting huge run off of 3 and 4 compared to Bradley Hawley. Look how high Hawley's washing up in the corners. Rob Haynes able to keep it down low and arc the corner a little bit. And that's able to get him big runs on these straights. And man, is he gaining time on Bradley Hawley on the exits now. But look who's coming up behind him. Robert Bassett Jr. having just pit. He's going to throw a wrench in this works. And Bradley Hawley almost losing it there.
Big wiggle out of Hawley. That's actually going to hand the lead over. It looks like big run on the outside from Haynes. I don't know if he's going to be able to clear him because of this lap traffic with Robert Bassett Jr. They're going to be side by side through turns 1 and 2.
Definitely not going to give up, but he might have to concede here because he just can't keep the truck underneath him on the exit of 1 and 2. He manages to hang on to it, but that allows Rob Haynes to get by. I think Bradley Hawley's going to have to pit soon if he needs fuel because the tires are just giving out on him.
How about Colin Carroll? A couple of truck lengths behind him as well, joining the picture in the 12 truck. Right on board with him, watching this battle for the lead. Just over 6 minutes left in this race.
Colin Carroll currently P10 in the points. He's had some good rounds, but this is a really good result from him. He's really holding onto that truck well with these challenging conditions. But looks like Bradley Hawley's not quite done up there with our leader.
I don't think he is. I think he's willing to give it all he's got. Just about bump drafting him. No contact. Maybe a quarter of a truck length in between them down the front stretch. Down into turn 1, though. Hawley's taking a peek to the bottom side.
Rob Haynes does not want to battle right now. The last thing he wants is to let Bradley Hawley get on the high side because that makes Rob Haynes go to the low side and use up his tires even more and risk a spin. But Bradley Hawley really going to send it into 3 and 4 now. We'll see if he gets the slide job done here on Rob Haynes.
The reigning champ's going to come up in front of Rob Haynes. Haynes is going to be able to cross him over. at the line. Give it to Holly for now. Still side by side for the lead. Looks like Haynes going to fall back in order.
Haynes is determined not to take that low side through the corners, and so he's willing to give up that spot, but that might have been too big of a risk. Colin Carroll's got a good run on the backstretch.
Now we've got side by side for a second. Colin Carroll, the driver out of Florida, has joined the picture. He's going to slide up in front of that 29 machine and now start to chase after Bradley Holly.
Man, when Bradley Holly doesn't have it on Rob Hayes, he has it on Racecraft. That crossover there against Rob Haynes was just brilliant, putting him in the position they didn't want to be in going through the corners and able to make that pass. What a move there by Bradley Holly.
Colin Carroll started this race ninth. He's slowly crept up inside the top two now throughout the race. He's got less than 5 minutes left to try to catch the reigning champ in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. He's trying to reel him in.
He's taking a much higher line than anyone has throughout the night, trying to get good speed off the corner. But man, Bradley Holly's having to brake significantly more into 1 and 2. So Colin Carroll looks like he's able to hold more pace through the corners. He doesn't have as big of a run that Rob Haynes did on the exits, but he's really getting him into the corner now into braking. And he might be one who's adjusting his brake bias well throughout this run.
We also wondered about fuel. A couple drivers further back pitted at
Dominic
least for
Pagine.
tires.
Dominic Pagine has gone around the 66 on the backstretch.
Oh, and that brings the caution out. That might be perfect timing for Bradley Holly. He spun the exit of 2.
Was spun on the exit of 2.
Yeah. That was help from another driver. That might have been Sean Dower. No, that was not Sean Dower. The 109, Nicholas Hunter. Unable to give him a little contact there.
Yeah, Hunter just... I think he anticipated Pagine woeing up so much in the corner.
Conditions so tough out there. Those drivers, I believe, actually made a pit stop.
Yeah, I think he was distracted actually by the car that was slow and low on the apron, and so he didn't see the 66 of Pagine really woeing up there, and that's what distracted him and got him into the rear end.
So 2 minutes and 20 seconds are on the clock here. We have 11 laps, coming to 10 laps to go. I'm gonna guess possibly a finish under yellow, and I think the drivers are thinking the same thing. It looks like everyone's staying out. I don't know if this yellow flag is gonna go away quickly enough for drivers like Colin Carroll and Rob Haynes to be able to give Bradley Holly one more shot at this thing.
I don't believe we will with their last lap over a minute, and it's going to be at least 2 laps before they start lining up for the green flag. I believe that this will give the win over to Bradley Holly, but we'll have to wait and see.
The driver from Waterback Racing not only leads the driver's points coming into tonight, but he leads the team's points, at least the driver's points, by 1 point over Jason Jacoby. Jacoby taking the drop week tonight, it looks like. He is a did not start.
Yeah, and Rob Haynes, another tough, I mean, a good finish for him, but tough considering the fact that he was challenging Bradley Holly for the lead just a couple of laps ago. That's going to be a rough night for him, considering the fact that he really was just a couple of laps away from winning this thing.
It's going to be a really big points night for Colin Carroll, who was able to move himself up into second. I think he would have given Holly a shot at this thing if we were able to get back going. But the Hard Knocks Sim Sports driver of that Toyota Tundra in the 12 machine, he's back in 10th in the points coming into this, 42 back from Holly. It's going to be a good night for him to move up a couple of spots, I believe.
Lights do not go out, so they definitely are going to finish under yellow.
Yeah, it looks like we can call it that Holly will win his second race of the season.
Barring any strange pit strategy, of course.
That is true. We've seen it done before. Another good points night shout out for Rob Haynes. He finished second at Daytona, like I said a couple moments ago. He's back in 18th, though, in the points, 53 points back. The sister teammate of Brad Holly, the winner of tonight's race.
And two big movers, John LaBaff and Mitchell Clark in 14th and 15th positions, up 20 positions from both of their starting positions. They climbed through the field together and join each other there down in the top 15.
Bradley Holly won the season opener at Gateway. Came up shy the next week at Chicagoland. Ended up on the wrecker last week at Daytona. But it looks like coming out of turn 4 at a humble 55 miles an hour, Bradley Holly, last year's champion, looking to keep in that form. He's going to win tonight at Kentucky Speedway. Now the pace lights are off. It would appear as if they're lining up. We may have called this prematurely, Adam.
Possibly. I mean, I've never seen this before in a timed race. Is it a green-white checker for a timed race?
There's a new addition to iRacing, but we had that option before, or are they just taking a little bit of a parade lap here?
Well, they're all still in line. I would have thought somebody would have pulled off.
It might have crossed over at about 1 second to go. I'm not sure. It seems to be quite a bit of miscommunication for the drivers as well. Pace lights are off. Pace car is pulling in.
Bradley Holly's going to get a jump here, so
all right,
he spins the tires.
Well, he's going racing. He doesn't know about the drivers behind him. The green flag is out.
I believe this is a green-white checker.
We're racing at Kentucky. A lot of the drivers not sure what's going on, it looks like.
Bradley Holly still cooking. It's green flag. Still cooking there. A lot of people pulling off to the side, but Bradley Holly still going like it's a green-white checker. Thomas Sink closing in behind him.
This is an awkward race. No one knows whether or not they can pass. Looks like the race has just been called over by iRacing. And it looks like those results from before are going to be able to stand. So the scoring, the timing and scoring from the lap previous to that, when we thought it was over, is what's going to count, it looks like. But that will do it. Bradley Holly's going to win the race. At the time we thought, just a little celebratory lap, it looks like there, from the drivers. We're going to take a break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We've got the full rundown and a big field to talk to you when we come back. Some rubber has been laid down at Kentucky Speedway, most notably the burnout by Bradley Holly on the front straightaway. He's going to come away with the round 4 victory here, his second on the year in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. Take a look at the results here. He gets the win. Rob Haynes is going to be right behind him. Colin Carroll, Thomas Sink, Brendan Chatley will round out your top 5. Jason Hounshell up to 6th. Eric Roberts, Frank Peacock, Colton Lane, and Braden Johnson will round out the top 10.
We got Joshua Daniels then in P11, Tyler Pluff, P12, Brandon Walter, Mitchell Clark, John LaBath there in the P15 position. You have Adam Zemke and Nicholas Delp, as well as Sean Dower and Nicholas Hunter in 19th position, and your top 20 is rounded out by Jean-Francois Champagne.
Jake Hounshell in the 02 is going to finish in 21st. 22nd to Dominic Pagine, who brought out that last yellow. Had some help though. Kevin Fetty in 2030s, the last driver on the lead lap. 1 lap down, going to be Robert Passaw Jr. in 24th. 25th, going to be Charles Sumner, 2 down. William Lee, 26th. 5 laps down, Robert Malicki, and then you get into your DNFs. 14 laps down, 28th place, Ray Richer. Austin Hunter going to be in 29th. 30th goes to Andrew Melvin.
Brian Brogan also DNFing, as well as Jeffrey Smith, Mike Richter, and Robert McFarland, with Ronald McManus and Mike Donahue following them up. Free Dice, who also DNF'd, and then your DNSs are Jason Jacoby, Caleb Eisenhower, William Hartman, and Sean A. Hamilton.
We have talked to him before multiple times, but, well, we're going to bring him in once again. Brad Holly, the winner tonight at Kentucky Speedway, second on the year. Bradley, that was a heck of a race he had to run out there.
Yes, it was a very tough and interesting race, to say the least.
Looked to be a pretty physically demanding race, honestly. The setups, a lot of drivers didn't seem to be a fan. Were you one of those drivers?
I didn't particularly like it, but, just like any race car driver, we got to adapt to what we're given and try to make it work.
Absolutely. A little loose out there, but you also had a couple of a couple of challenges there from Rob and Colin, especially late in the going. Did you think if we stayed green, you were going to be able to hold on to it?
Yes. Once Braden got loose and hit the wall, he had a good pace at the end of that long run. So Rob was catching me, but I had to save a bunch of fuel because we were probably going to be right there when it came to fuel mileage to make it to, I guess, 80 laps instead of 85.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough finish, but you got the job done. You got your second win on the year. You much of a road course ringer headed to Watkins Glen?
Oh, I love road courses.
Oh, I don't think you made the competition very happy by saying that. I think maybe they were hoping to trip you up there. But nonetheless, congratulations on your win tonight. Hopefully we can see you again there next week.
Thank you.
That was Bradley Holly, driver of the 184, winning tonight once again. It looks like we have our third place finisher able to talk to Adam, Colin Carroll in the 12 machine.
Absolutely. Colin Carroll, a great finish for you tonight, and up there, battling for those top couple of positions there towards the end as well.
Yeah, it was a blast. The Caliber Customs Coating Tundra was really, really quick. I don't think we had the fastest car, but definitely felt pretty consistent, and we were kind of able to run in the top 10, top 5 most of the race, and definitely had a bit of a long run car. And there at the end, we were about a half a lap short, I think, from making it interesting to see if we could get Hard Knocks their first win. But overall, I had a blast out there tonight.
How much of a handful were those trucks out there tonight? It seemed like everyone was slipping and sliding a little bit.
Yeah, definitely felt like you were on edge. And really to be fast, you kind of have to push that line. And I think you saw it up top and up front that a lot of guys were getting loose and having some really cool saves. I'm sure probably looked pretty good on the broadcast.
Well, you had a great finish tonight, Colin. Is there anyone you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank Mitchell Clark and Hard Knocks Sim Sports for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. First season, second top 3 for us, a lot of fun, and obviously the guys at PRL and you guys here at Global SimRacing Channel. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, have a great finish tonight, and thanks for joining us tonight on GSRC.
Yep, thanks, guys.
All right, that was Colin Carroll, our P3, and we now have Rob Haynes with Nick.
Yes, going up a step on the podium, up to Rob Haynes, driver of the number 29 machine. Rob, great race out there. You started on the pole, but you're going to wind up a spot further back in second.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. That was a tough race. There's a lot of wheel spin happening coming off both corners, 4 and 2. It was tough to hang on to this truck tonight, guys.
Did you have any scary moments out there? Saw everyone pretty much get sideways for a while. Did you think you were maybe faster than Bradley Holly too? It looked like you were able to close in on him once he slipped up a couple times.
No, I don't. Brad's pretty fast, and there was some slip-ups for sure. Lots of wheel spin off 4. I think I had a moment off at 2 that almost cost me the race. I think I probably would have smacked the wall pretty good. Managed to catch it, and after that I kind of lifted a little bit earlier going in and just kind of wanted to hang on to her and get a good finish in this race. Good fun with these guys, and man, that was a really tough race for Kentucky here, 1.5 miles.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you got the job done. You finished second, exactly what you said you wanted to do, which was a good finish. So congratulations there, Rob. Hopefully we get to talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks very much.
That was Rob Haynes, your second place finisher. We want to give a special thank you, not only to those interviewers, but also to everyone who came out tonight for the 4th round in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, especially everyone who helps in the organization and behind-the-scenes logistics in the Precision Racing League. We also want to thank Established Traffic Control, ETC, once again for sponsoring tonight's race, and an additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde, who provides our music. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team tonight, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. Make sure to check out the GSRC on social media. You can do that at our website on globalsimracingchannel.com, on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, on Instagram at GSRC_Graham, and of course on our YouTube channel. I would encourage you to scroll down just a little bit, hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second of racing. Speaking of more racing, tonight at 10:30 Eastern, the Sim Racers for Mental Health Truck Series will be playoff racing from Iowa Speedway, so make sure you come and join us for that as well. Only in 14 minutes. The PRL NASCAR Truck Series will also be back next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Round 5. Like I said, we'll be turning left and right because we're going to be road racing up at Watkins Glen. Make sure to mark that down on your calendar. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.